All right. You are live.
I am live. How are you, sir?
I am not AI.
No, not at all. That sounds more like Max Headroom. So I don't know. Yeah, Max Headroom had a lot of those issues. We saw it coming right there and there.
Why? You know what? I was thinking about this a while back. With all this AI stuff popping up, why has Max Headroom not made a resurgence?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I guess because technically, well, not technically. I mean, it's Matt Frewer. It's not actually an AI. So
No. I meant, well, not so much as him being AI, just the character, popping back up
oh,
and, you
oh,
know,
that is a
doing
good
things.
question.
Yeah. He can, Coke's still around.
Yeah, as far as the last time I checked. And Matt's still around as the last time I checked. So you got
Yeah.
all those things together there. So
I
I don't
actually, when he first came around, I don't know about you, but I was super fascinated with him. I was like, is he really a computer? I couldn't, because I didn't know. I mean, it just, or at the time I knew about sampling and music and stuff like that.
hmm
And I thought, well, are they doing something with a computer and sampling something? Or, and of course, as an adult, I see the behind the scenes, where he's wearing the mask and it's going down his chest a little bit. And I was like, oh, wow, they did go some extremes to make that happen.
right. Yeah, but it was mostly in the editing. I mean, that was around the time that that repeat delay was becoming a thing in videos. Like you would have
Hmm.
like the all the videos would just kind of like do almost like a record, back and
Yeah.
forth doing that effect. And so a lot of that stuff took big advantage of that.
Yeah. No, I did love him. I loved Max Headroom, and I was thinking, why hasn't he made a resurgence with all this AI stuff? Why isn't he an AI avatar somewhere?
Well, you found yourself an opportunity. I think you should pounce on it. You could be the first. Start a
Yeah.
fashion.
Start a fashion.
No, that's fast fashion. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I look like I'm set on this end to get started. And I guess if he's able to, Chuck will just kind of come in when he's back.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I guess we'll just read his parts.
Yeah, we'll do his stories if he's not back in time for that.
All right. Alrighty. We ready?
As ready as I'm ever going to be.
Oh, let me go here and get ready. Okay, we're all right.
Okay, you are recording. Okay. This is The Topic is Trek, episode 188 for Friday, October 10th, 2025. Coming up in this episode, more ways to spend your Trek money. Strange new worlds. It's Khan once more. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. Hold my hand. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it. Sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed edition of The Topic is Trek. I am Clinton, one of your co-hosts on the show, and in order to be a co-host, I must have co-hosts with me. So, beaming in to join me from parts unknown with the hip new catchphrase that somebody maybe on Sky Gowan will be saying tomorrow, is Mr. Craig Stepp.
All right, I forgot the transporter.
Oh my goodness.
That's
But
all
somehow
right.
you're able to get here anyway. So you've
Yeah.
invented something new.
Yeah. Well, here you go. Hold my avocado.
Hold my avocado. Well, if you're in the grocery store or have some toast hanging around, I suppose that would be a thing, but maybe next time try it. We'll try again on
All
that
right.
one.
All right. We'll go back to the drum. We'll go back to formula on that.
All righty. And Mr. Chuck Tomasi is not with us at the moment. However, he may be beaming in mid-show. We're not sure. We will find out as the show goes along.
Yeah.
So how have you been, Craig?
I've been pretty good. Yeah, things are going pretty good. I'm going to take off on a 2-week vacation. So, okay.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
And I got some news that confirms something that, well, it's not complete, but I think it's pretty well confirmed. We talked about earlier this year how I went to Universal Fan Fest at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my guess was that if they did it again, which they were not guaranteed they would do it again because that was the first time they'd ever done it, that they probably would go with different properties, if you will, rather than doing Star Trek and Dungeons and Dragons and all those things a second time. Well, they've announced the first couple of things for next year's Fan Fest, and they'll be Scooby-Doo and Universal Monsters. And those was part of the first iteration of Fan Fest. So I think it's going to run pretty much the way things run for their Halloween Horror Nights, that they take different properties. Now, some may return, and I think the easiest win for them is to also do Back to the Future again this time around, because it's there. It's always there. But, they may want to do stuff completely new, but I don't think they're going to have Trek back. Now, that's not to say they won't have it back in future years, because they do repeat properties at a certain point in Fan Fest if they were popular enough. But I don't think we'll be seeing it again in 2026.
Now, did you say that they rotate properties that are not necessarily theirs? I guess.
Oh yeah. Right. They do that. They definitely do that. Which is why at least half the stuff that they had there at Universal Fan Fest the first time around was not stuff that they owned. So yeah, definitely they would bring in stuff from whoever to do these things. So there are other properties that you could have there. I don't think you're likely to see Star Wars there, because that's kind of down the road. So you're not gonna get that or Marvel.
I know. Let's do Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, I don't even know if you might potentially get DC. It really depends on how Six Flags feels about that, because you got Six Flags Magic Mountain out there, so they may or may not be into it. I don't know.
Let's see what they come up with.
Indeed. But right now, with a spoiler alert warning, because we're going to be talking about two things. The first one is the season finale of Strange New Worlds, season 3. And second, we'll be talking about the first episode of the audio drama series, Star Trek Khan.
Well, hang on a second.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
There you go.
Exactly. So if you haven't seen the last episode of this just past season of Strange New Worlds, or haven't started listening to the Khan audio drama yet, which is free to listen to, do so and then come on back for the discussion. But that said, it's time to head out on Main Mission Part 1 with an appropriate sound effect.
There you go. Going out into deep space.
Okay. Well, let's give some of the statistics here on this one. This is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This is season 3, episode 10, New Life and New Civilizations. Another one of the episodes of Star Trek that pulls from that opening bit of dialogue. It's written by Dana Horgan and David Perez and directed by Maja Vrvilo. And a short plot synopsis, which I modified, by the way, says when an ancient evil resurfaces, Captain Battelle faces a life-altering choice to stop it. The official one says Pike faces a life-altering choice to stop it. And it's true
Yeah,
that Pike does, but I think really the emphasis should be on Battelle for this particular story.
I agree.
All right, so let's get into it here. Let me see if I can get my, I'm going to bring this down here. And do I have to do, where is my, oh, I think it's down here. Just doing some technical, there we go, behind the scenes stuff. All right, so this was our finale for the season. And as Strange New Worlds tends to do, it wraps up plot lines that they've had going as recurring threads
Right.
through the season. But this season has been so all over the place that you had to really have that recap for this one because, oh, remember the thing that happened in, this episode, and then 4 episodes later, that thing happened, and then this other thing
Yeah.
happened over here. This is how all this stuff is going to fit together. I don't know how I feel about this episode in total. First thoughts, Craig, when you got through watching this episode, how did you feel about it?
Lost. I feel like I did. Actually I had to watch it a couple times to kind of I don't know. I kind of felt disinterested in it for some reason. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It covered a lot of stuff and you had to be paying attention to real short bits of dialogue as they tried
Yeah.
to sometimes just magic their way out of things that happened in this episode.
Right.
And so if you weren't catching all the little things that were going on, it became very easy to get lost as well. Why did Mbenga go through the portal with the Vesda and
That's right.
how is this happening? And why all of a sudden was the Vesda able to reassemble itself and then get to Skygowan? And it's just bam, bam, bam. All these things are just going on and they cover everything, but it's so darn quick that you really get lost easily.
It came across as a mess.
Yeah. Which we've talked about this before, I think, on the show, that one of the things the executive producers are saying is that the stops and starts caused by the writer's strike and then also the actor's strike and having to dismiss the writing room and then bring it back and then start over again.
And what were they out for? Like, was it 4 months?
Yeah, so they like lost that rhythm supposedly, and that's not going to be the same issue with season 4, so we're told.
Yeah.
But this one really, well, I'll tell you, one of my biggest problems with this episode is
Right.
that it went total par wraiths
Yeah.
with like 0 to 60 to get there.
Right.
With Deep Space Nine, that was a plot that went for seasons.
Yes.
And this one, you just kind of, it happens and people accept it. And there's, this is the ultimate good and the ultimate evil incarnate. And okay. And then we're going to explain how the entire universe works. It seemed like that was way over the line of where we'd seen Strange New Worlds go at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Even counting a musical episode and a crossover,
Mm-hmm.
just into,
Which were highlights, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even to the point where they went with ley lines, and Spock rolls his eyes at that one, and I had to roll my eyes at that one as well, because that at best is what is called a pseudoscience.
Right.
It's just, it's almost a conspiracy / fan theory about how these mysterious lines, connect significant points on Earth, like the Stonehenge with the pyramids of Giza. And it's like,
Mhm.
and so Spock rolling his eyes and then Sam going, it's a real thing. I'm going, oh my goodness, I don't know what is Sam into these days. It just was a lot because they had, they had to explain how Gamble, if you will,
Mhm.
got to Skygowan, and how the Vesda got out of that pattern buffer,
Yes,
but to fall back to that as the explanation, it was disappointing.
it was. Yep. Yeah, there were, like you said, it was a. I felt like it was a mess. It was. Speaking of lines connecting things, I don't think there were a lot. You know.
Yeah, everything you could call back to something, but it was really kind of a stretch to do so. When you get this reveal that Battelle is, is the statue, right?
Right.
That the way they piece together, well, she had some Gorn DNA. She
Hmm.
got some blood transfusion from Una, so she got Illyrian blood, and then they lit the Chimera plant. That somehow gave her, in essence, the ability to tap into the collective knowledge of every species that had encountered this evil, the Vesda, before and fought back against it.
Well, don't forget she's also human.
Yeah, okay. So she got
So
4. She's got
yeah,
4 there. You can look out. Well, she's 3 in a plant, I
I'm
guess.
one quarter human. I'm one quarter Gorn. I'm one quarter. Yeah, I that was that was a stretch too. It was like, how would they? I don't know. It's like a prophecy that
Yeah, so
that was being
they
fulfilled, and it was like she was just made up recently with all that stuff, and I'm like, it
right.
just
So
didn't didn't feel right.
there's there's 2 parts to that, and one of which is like, okay, I can see why we went through an entire episode to get to this point,
Hmm.
because in order for her to be, I don't want to, it's not the Observer. What's the name of the statue again?
Oh, if you hadn't asked, I could have told you. Uh,
How a strange way to say it. Anyway, so we had an entire episode where they talk about the fact that this is, cause and effect are not always going to be in the correct order.
oh, Beholder.
The Beholder. We're not going to be in the correct order because of the trans-dimensional
Hmm.
aspect of the Vesda. So this is how you get to that point where, well, I've always been, the statue, because that happens now, but since things aren't linear, it's happening in the past at the same time. And Pike is like struggling to try to figure this stuff out. How can we figure it out?
I was
He's
gonna say,
trying to.
I was struggling to figure this stuff out.
Then they talk about the fact that when all this mixture of stuff in her, that she is it's epigenetics, and I had to look up epigenetics, which is a
Hmm.
change in gene expression that occurs without altering the DNA sequence. So her DNA wasn't necessarily altered per se, but what happens in epigenetics is there are things like molecules within your cells that can suppress certain things when the DNA tries to make the RNA
Hmm.
and call things forward, or there might be changes in color, changes in other things. So somehow it's activating all this within her DNA as a reaction to her encounter with the Vesda.
The way you just explained it
Hmm.
is probably how they said it in the writers' room.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, she has all this DNA, and
Kind of, does this thing.
yeah. What was
Uh,
it? What did they say? What's the uh, they say all the time in Star Trek, some kind of DNA.
yeah, really. some kind of
Some kind of-
epigenetics, DNA manipulation going on here.
yeah.
Okay. And I also felt like, raise your hand if you thought so. I think that having Kirk in this episode was gratuitous.
Yes, actually, it was. I think.
Really didn't make
wait a
any
minute.
sense for him to be
Wait a
there.
minute. You said to raise your hand.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because even Kirk points out, you've got a great pilot right here, pointing at Ortegas.
Mhm.
And then they have to say, well, she has to say, well, fancy flying isn't what matters here. And it's this idea of having this mind meld to sync the two people up. But
Right.
now maybe she wouldn't have wanted to do that. We never got to find that out because it sounds like they didn't. Now, maybe it's a scene that got cut where he offers to do that with Ortegas and Ortegas goes, nah, I'm not into that. I'm not going to do that. Because he says that Spock says that he had Kirk in mind because Kirk is willing to do things that others won't do. Okay.
Yeah, they're paving the road a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think they paved the road in an odd direction in that scene where they get to the point where he goes, wait, call me Jim. Yes, Jim.
Yeah.
And Ortegas goes, get a room, you two, with the
Yeah.
look of her eyes. It's like, really? What is going on here all of a sudden?
Yeah. I just do. I do think it's odd that he spends more time on the Enterprise than the Farragut.
Well, what's weirder to me is when they had the communications with the Farragut, and so in the ready room, they're speaking to Kirk on board the Farragut, and he makes and Pike is saying, "Well, I need to know your captain's stance on this because although the orders are just to observe, it might really turn into something more than that." And Kirk says, "Well, my captain's opinion is that she owes you one."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought, okay, so they're not going to have the captain in this episode because clearly Kirk is the one talking to them and blah, 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 blah. And in the scene where the ships are rotating, you're focusing on Kirk and Spock. But if you look at that scene, the captain is sitting in the captain's chair. The actress was there.
Yeah. Yes, right.
Why did they not have her having the conversation with Pike?
I can't be put up with this petty conversation. Kirk, you do it for me.
Yeah, just tell me whatever you guys decide to do. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we owe him one or two. Yeah.
I don't know. I think the saving grace of this entire episode is the next to last 10 minutes of the episode,
Mhm.
where I have not seen the series. I believe you have. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, what we see in these 10 minutes where it's the alternate life of
Mhm.
Batel and Pike is like the inner light, where that entire lifetime, in this
Yes.
case, takes place in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and I did get that vibe a little bit too. Of course, there's no flute, but I was thinking of somewhere.
But a series that I didn't watch that you can tell me
Mhm.
what Batel was doing. Is this similar in any way to WandaVision, where she is essentially willing this stuff to happen, trying to save? I don't know.
Sort of.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if it really
That might be a little more of a stretch, but yeah.
okay. I did. Like I said, I haven't seen it myself. I just understood the basic kind of premise of some of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that said, it's probably the realest 10 minutes in the second half of the season.
Mhm.
And I think one of the reasons it is, we talked about before about if they have to do a lot of pre-planning on it, it's a good thing. This they had to pre-plan because they actually brought Batel back as a character for this season, specifically with this as her arc to get to the end.
Right.
So they knew very well that they were going to be writing this scene very early on, and it
Mhm.
shows because it's a sequence that actually works.
Hey, it's probably because they wrote it before the writer's strike, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I think it's a case of when they were hurried, it didn't work. You got the early draft of something,
Mhm.
and I feel like this was well thought out, especially again because you have to do so much extra work. You
Yeah.
have to have makeup that changes and changes and changes. It took probably an extra long time to do that whole sequence. So everything in this season that looked like it took more time to prepare was better.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yep.
What was I was just gonna my mind went blank. Oh, well, I don't know how real this was. It a dream sequence kind of thing, or was it real?
Well, it was real to them, and apparently somehow the Vesda
Hmm.
knew what was going on as well in that second, because it said soon you'll be destroyed and your memories all those memories will be gone.
Yeah.
Um, she was envisioning it, but she said she was able to tap into what did she say? She was able to tap into like space and time
Yeah.
and make that happen. So it seems like it was a reality. It just forked off in this direction that you didn't really get the transition from the encounter with the Vesda to their second anniversary, because Pike at some point admits he was kind of fuzzy on what
Mhm.
happened during that encounter because it hasn't happened yet.
Right. Well,
So he
the
doesn't
reason
understand exactly how it worked.
the reason I was asking that was because, he's got his own little time bomb ticking.
Hmm.
And so in those flash forward moments that were well beyond that point, I think.
Right.
So that's what I was
Right.
wondering how this would affect that.
Yeah, I don't think it affects it because it all essentially rolls back that they didn't grow old together.
Hmm.
Right. So that's not that alteration, although it exists and they remember it, it's really not the way things play out, because if it played out that way, then she wouldn't become the statue.
Yeah.
They would go off and have that life. So it's not the way things are going to turn out. It's the way that she was in some ways guiding it to turn out that way, because she altered things so that the accident didn't happen.
Right.
Right. She was making these conscious choices. At one point, she's like calling Chris to come back because he hears the knock on the door and he wants to go to answer it. And she says, no, come back
Yeah.
to
Not
me.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah. But that sequence, and I call this episode Hold My Hand, because I made note of every single time they made sure that you would see a shot of Battelle and Pike
Yeah.
holding hands. And it
was
starts
all-
from her getting off the transporter pad.
Yeah. It's almost as many times as they used mind melds this season.
Indeed. Yeah, almost as many.
Well, they've been leaning on that too, haven't they?
They have. And we leaned on it this time. I think, I don't know, it was a bit of a stretch to lean on. Well, a couple of things were a bit of a stretch there, right? One of them was that apparently 2 phaser beams can equal the power of the sun, which I didn't realize phasers were that powerful.
Well,
A focused phaser beam, of course.
you're
as
not in
opposed to
engineering.
unfocused. I know. And also, you apparently have to rotate the ships 180 degrees from each other in order for that to work somehow, which I don't
Mhm.
understand. Why did you have to do that? I didn't get that either. It's okay. Okay. They have to hit the same spot.
Yep.
You have to aim them there.
Mhm.
But if they're not quite in the right orientation, if they're one on top of the other, then one can like probably be a bit above or a bit below the other. I mean, it's like I didn't. It seemed like, oh, look what we can do for an effect shot in this particular case. It's like one of the few times I think an effect shot is just like called out. Look at our effect shot,
Yeah.
and I think that's another victim of it
Gratuitous.
just really wasn't thought out that well.
Yeah.
One thing before we just get to ratings, unless you have some additional thoughts, but
Yeah.
the reason that we got kind of what I would call the Lord of the Rings ending to this episode, where
Mhm.
it ends, and I think it was our friend of the show, Joe, who said, I think the show could have, or maybe it was Gary saying, I think the show could have ended with Pike looking at the apron, and it doesn't say Chef
Oh,
Pike on it.
yeah.
But you got all that other stuff there because they weren't sure if this was going to be the series finale. So you wrapped up all the plot lines. You kind of had a monologue by Pike about things, and then you had them going off to parts unknown with everybody back on the ship.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, it was odd to have it wrap up that way, but that's the reason it wrapped up that way, is because, well, at that point we hadn't gotten a green light for the 4th season, so we didn't know that could be it.
I really hate the TV environment, or the production environment nowadays. It's like they're making this series or season, and they're kind of on the bubble, and they're not
Mhm.
sure. So you kind of write it in one way, and they go, "Oh, we're greenlit." Maybe they change stuff at the end. It's like, I really hate that some shows are like that, and this is, I feel like this suffer from that a little bit too.
Right. Yeah, most definitely, because you want to, like, okay, well, we're not going to get to the end point we wanted to get to, so how are we going to end this thing if
Mhm.
if this is going to be the end of it?
Yeah.
All right. Any additional thoughts on New Life and New Civilizations?
No, I'm good.
Okay. What do you want to rate it on? Vestas,
Beholders.
Beholders. Okay.
Well,
All
there's
right.
only one, but
Well, you can have 10 in this case.
sure.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 beholders, what would you rate this episode?
I'm gonna give it a 5.5. I mean, I'm with you. I like the ending, but that was just 10 minutes of the whole thing, and it was kind of a mess everywhere
Mm,
else. So, and you?
yeah. I, th- I, yeah, I would go lower if we didn't have the alternate life portion of it, which is very emotional and I think is extremely well done.
Hmm.
Especially with a very kind of, um, I would call it a Star Trek trope of this odd little thing, and the odd little thing is the knock on the door that keeps happening.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm the one who knocks. Oh wait, that's
yeah,
another
yeah,
show.
that's different. That's different. So, yeah, I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a 5, and most of that 5 comes from that 10 minutes of it. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's nothing else good in the episode, but not much else. I mean, I don't mind the banter between Kirk and Spock. It just didn't belong in this episode. So, okay, I
Yeah.
liked the banter. That was fine. I just don't think it belonged in this episode. And I didn't like ley lines in this episode. And I didn't like,
Yeah.
the power of the sun, and this three, you get infused with 3
Oh,
things, and suddenly you've got everything.
well, the 0.5 that I added was for visual effects.
Well, there you go.
Because the whole show was stunning to look at. But
Oh yeah, that very elaborate setup
like
and
the
all the
scene behind
costumes
you.
on, yeah, and all the costumes that they had on the set for
Hmm.
Skygowan. Yeah, definitely a lot went into the episode
Yes. Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
They spent some money on this one to
Although
make it look.
they reused
Huh?
that set from the other one that was, inside the prison thing. That was reuse of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Which is a common Star Trek trope too.
Indeed.
Reusing stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, that said, it's about to come back. Time to come back from our first main mission with an appropriate sound effect. Sure,
Yeah.
we'll go with that one.
Oh wait, it repeats. Sorry, I had to turn off. Ah,
The alert is on repeat. And it's time to start up with Subspace Chatter. But before we do Subspace Chatter, we have to find out. We're going to check with Charlie/Charlie X to see if we're okay to begin Subspace Chatter, even though we're going to do it anyway. Spoiler alert. And we don't know if we're going to get Mirror Charlie, who oddly enough is the good one, or Charlie X. So I will
Nope.
ask, Charlie, is it okay to begin subspace chatter?
Sure thing, friend. I love subspace chatter. Let's get going.
All
like
right.
how
And
he-
there's,
I like I gets really excited there after. Sure thing, friend. I love.
he's an excitable kind of guy.
Yeah.
All right. I'll start off with our first story here.
All
Well,
right.
we still have no official date for the premiere of Starfleet Academy. An Instagram post may have given us a good
Mm.
clue.
Yeah.
Gina Yashir, who will portray Commander Laura Thok, I'm not sure if that's Thok, I'm assuming it is, a Klingon Jem'Hadar hybrid, made a post praising the makeup team responsible for the unique look of her character. She wrote, "The prosthetics department at Star Trek are a bunch of geniuses, and the costume department makes my breasts look amazing."
Well, good.
That is all.
All right.
But you say, well, okay, that doesn't tell us anything, but ended by adding, "See you in January 2026. And that line was later changed to "See you in early 2026.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. So we'll know more, hopefully, after the upcoming New York Comic Con, which is this, I believe it's this weekend. I haven't
I
looked at
think-
my calendar lately.
I think it was happening. I saw some I think it is this weekend because I saw some couple of pictures of, hey, look what I got from New York Comic Con. It was, like I don't know, like pins and stuff.
Yeah. So definitely think it's coming up. So we'll get some stuff there. And one more thing about Starfleet Academy, TrekMovie.com had veteran TV industry and entertainment reporter Matt Midovich delve into the question of why we have not seen any images of Mary Wiseman, aka Tilly, in any promotional materials, even though she is said to be reprising her Discovery role in Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Midovich did a bit of digging and replied, "You can rest assured that Wiseman will appear on Starfleet Academy as a guest star in one episode."
Really?
Yeah.
I really did think that we were going to see a good bit of her,
Yeah. So
a while back.
now, whether or not one episode she's going to be a guest star that he knows of, and maybe this other, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of surprising with somebody who specifically at the end of Discovery was called out as the most senior tenured professor at the Academy.
Well, her and Michael actually talked about it a little bit.
Mhm.
She was off the show for a little bit because she was working on Starfleet Academy. So it's kind of weird.
Don't know. So Chuck has a story here. One of us has to do two stories in a row. Do you want to?
I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So should I imitate Chuck or just no? I'm not going to do that. So the estimated real world cost to construct the Starship Enterprise, specifically the version seen in the J.J. Abrams films, is a staggering $478.9 billion. When you get that high, the 0.9 really doesn't make a
Yeah, I know.
difference. I don't think.
Just round up.
So the vast majority of this price, over $456 billion, is attributed to the complex assembly process rather than the cost of the raw materials. However, this figure is likely significantly underestimated because it does not include the expense of developing non-existent technology like warp engines, phasers, transporters, which could push the final cost into trillions. In sharp contrast, the original 11-foot filming model used for the 1960s series, which cost only about $6,000 to build, is now a valuable artifact insured for millions and displayed at the Smithsonian right at the front door.
That's right. Well, this estimate is weird in a couple of ways. First of all, I have in the slide here, it's like, but we don't use money. So how the staggering cost is $0.
Yeah.
But also they talk about the complex assembly process. Now, I don't know if they just mean literally assembling the ship or the fact that in the JJ verse, they assemble it on Earth
Yeah.
and then get it into space,
Mm-hmm.
which is an interesting way to go with it. But I think it's just the complexity of actually assembling it regardless of where it's being assembled.
Yeah, and $478 billion gets you just a shell of the thing.
That's right. There's no interior. It's just the outside.
That's right. All right. So, speaking of starships, Fanhome is reviving 20 XL Star Trek ship models originally made by the now bankrupt Eagle Moss. These massive die-cast ships, which measure 11 to 12 inches, are returning due to huge popular demand, especially since some previously sold for $250 over $40 measure, and over a $40 over 40. What? How did I read that? Anyway, they measure between 11 and 12 inches and are returning due to huge popular demand, especially since some previously sold. Here's what I was supposed to say: $250 to $400. The first two ships launching at New York Comic Con again this weekend, actually, starting October 9th, are the Enterprise NCC 1701 and the USS Cerritos NCC 75567.
Lower decks.
They will sell individually for about $85 at the show. Fanhome is bringing Star Trek Prodigy creators and actors to sign the USS Voyager NCC 74656A model, available for about $55. Additionally, the rare gold-plated Enterprise NCC 1701G, which is not canon, I don't remember it being gold, from Picard. For only,
that would have cost an extra $478.6 billion if we did that.
That's right. So only 599 were made. Will be sold for $350 at the show, and Fanhome stresses it will never go on sale again.
Until we need to do that. Yes.
Yeah, until we need money.
Yeah.
These re-releases are great news for fans who appreciate seeing modern ships like the Cerritos and the Voyager 8 alongside the classics. Fans will try to can try and purchase it online on October 15th at fanhome.com.
Yeah. So, and they didn't say specifically in the article here the version of the Enterprise, but I have on screen and I pulled it from Fanhome site. It is the TOS Enterprise.
Yes. I did see that.
So yeah, I don't have any place to put these things because, at a certain point you have too many things that are Star Trek models, and it's like, I need more shelves or something.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to have these. They're kind of a compromise between the ones you would have, say, the Hallmark ones, that type of thing, and the massive ones that are put out that have all the lighting and so forth in them. It's kind of, so it's a nice size. And of course, just like all these things, they are not relative size to each other. I mean, the Cerritos is probably just as big as the Enterprise in this case. So they're not accurate to that.
Yeah, which it's not. It's supposed to be. And by the way, I apologize. I think when I pasted my article in here, I must have pasted it twice or did something weird because I was doubling up on those sentences there.
Blame it on the AI. That's what I always do.
No, I remember I pasted it in and it had some bold stuff. I went, I'm gonna take the bold out. So I copied and pasted it back in, and I think I screwed it up.
Well, news favors the bold, clearly. So we want to
yeah.
All right, let's move on from that to this. Looking for some good reading material without a lot of words? Have we got a book for you?
I just want pictures.
Yeah. Well, it's called Klingon Next Door, Off Duty the Warrior's Way, and it's full of fun single-page cartoons. There's no dialogue or narration, just visual gags showing an unnamed Klingon warrior in funny situations. Some jokes are classic Star Trek moments, while others place the Klingon in everyday, relatable scenarios, like enjoying a pumpkin spice Ractigino. Well, I'm not sure how 100% that is every day for us, but close enough.
Mm-hmm.
The book includes some real Klingon words, which were vetted by the language's creator, who I believe is Mark Okrand. The author, who is a huge Trekkie himself, sprinkles in references to different Star Trek shows from the classics to the newer ones. So that's pretty fun.
And I love some pumpkin spice Raktajino.
Yeah, me too. Got to get the replicator working on that one there.
Wait till they have the peppermint Christmas one out.
Mm. The tough part is getting the stripes in the Raktajino. That's the tricky part.
Yeah. Hey, Raktajino with a little cream heart, when the do the
Except it looks like a real heart and it's got a anyway.
Hey, man, it looks like a bat lift. There you go.
All righty. Next up, Star Trek Voyager star Kate Mulgrew, Captain Janeway, and Tim Russ Tuvok weighed in on the infamous Tuvix episode controversy at a convention, where an audience member stated the fused Neelix Tuvok character had it coming. Mulgrew agreed, declaring that restoring Tuvok and Neelix over Tuvix was an easy choice for Janeway,
Wow.
despite having to make it look tough. I see. Russ supported Janeway's decision. Well, of course he does. If he didn't support it, he wouldn't be an actor on the show anymore.
Yeah.
Emphasizing that a captain's primary responsibility is the health and welfare of her crew. But wasn't one of the points that Tuvix was now a member of the crew anyway, which means bringing back 2 crew members instead of keeping 1 new individual. He also recalled the difficulty of the role for the actor Tom Wright, who portrayed Tuvix. Yeah, I seem to remember them having a panel at one of the Las Vegas conventions where they said they couldn't stop laughing when he would come out in his makeup. And they said, oh, the poor actor, but we just couldn't stop laughing at him.
Pointing at him and laughing.
Yeah, geez. But there you go. Janeway was faking it when she went, I'm torn about what to do. She was like, no, I know what I'm doing, but I got to make it look like I'm torn about what I'm going to do.
I just got to make the crew look like I'm dealing with a moral dilemma here.
That's right.
All right. So there's a lot of cons going on right now. So yeah, this week at MagicCon in Atlanta, Wizards of the West Coast dropped some massive news announcing a special tribute set, Magic the Gathering Star Trek. Its highly anticipated crossover is set to warp in our hands in November 26th as the final Magic set of the year, perfectly timed to commemorate Star Trek's 60th anniversary. Now, here's the most exciting news. Unlike focusing solely on most recognized crews like Kirk's or Picard's, Wizards of the West Coast confirmed that they are diving into the entire franchise. That means the set will span the full 60 years of history, featuring characters, stories, and starships from the original series all the way through Strange New Worlds and beyond, providing something for every Star Trek fan. They even teased references to the morally gray characters. We've already seen initial art reveals, and by the way, there's a video linked in the show notes for this episode 188 for this, and you can see some of the artwork they flash up there, and it's really cool. So that's where they're saying you've seen some of the artwork already, including
and if you're watching the video, we do have a couple of those images up on the video as well.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I got it covered with the show notes. I do love that art, by the way. That's awesome, especially Galron. So they got Captain Kirk, the crystalline entity, both the original USS Enterprise and the Enterprise D, even the gloriously wide-eyed Chancellor Galron. This set truly captures the spirit of exploration and discovery, bringing the whole rich tapestry of Star Trek universe into a brand new medium, and put them directly into your hands if you got the money.
I haven't played Magic the Gathering in ages. Nathan, when he was younger, especially at one of his summer sessions, they were playing Magic the Gathering, but that was ages ago. I'm sure the game is the same as it was then. I'd be interested to see, though, since when I was playing it, it was the original set with how those rules work with those type of magical characters. Well, now you've got real life characters and supposedly maybe some characters like Q or something else. So
how real life characters?
Well, I'm talking about like a human character versus
a
this
spirit or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, these type of things, and how you distribute these attributes
Mhm.
in that type of a system. So that
You know,
that would be interesting.
I guess I know what we're playing next year at Dragon
In,
Con.
indeed.
Hey, so I tried to play Magic with Harrison a long time ago. So unsurprisingly, he was explaining the rules to me, but he kept winning. So I don't know what that says. He was making up his own rules. I don't know, but
Well, or could just he's better at it than you. That's
no, I doubt that.
don't try him at 3D chess because
Yeah.
that may not work out either.
But I do love the artwork that they have on all their cards, and
Mhm.
this looks really cool. I love Kirk leaning into the chair. It's awesome, especially got Gowron and everything. It looks great. I'm looking forward to seeing the set.
Yeah, the Gowron card is like 90% eyes. It's really weird. Anyway,
Yeah, he is 90% eyes. What are you talking about?
so there you go. All right, and finally, YouTube account Picard Looking has used AI to generate what it would be like for members of the Enterprise D to conduct their meetings over Zoom. And it's just as chaotic as you would imagine, from poor
Oh.
Wi-Fi signal to background activity and more. We'll have a link to the videos in the show notes for this episode, Hold My Hand, or episode 188, over at the Topic is Trek.com.
Oh, wait a minute. There you go.
Okay, and I haven't totaled them up yet, but we've got a lot of additional links. I'm guessing, well over 60 links to additional stories broken down by series and other categories like comics, collectibles, actor watch, general stuff. So lots of things to check out in the show notes for this episode over on the Topic is Trek.com. There you go. There you go. All right. So all that said, we would now I'm looking at the show notes here, and I don't know if I put this in or somebody else put this in about activities going on in Vulcan, Alberta, Canada. It's not usually the type of thing that I would mention for Vulcan, but okay, let's say this is your update on what's happening in Vulcan, Alberta, Canada. Coming up now, Fire Safety Week. In County Regional Fire Service promoting Fire Prevention Week is October 5th through the 11th. Municipal elections results update. The official nomination results are in for 2025 in the Vulcan County. Thanksgiving and office closures. The municipal offices will be closed for the Canadian Thanksgiving holiday, which is October 13th. Don't get it confused. Otherwise, you're going to go the wrong day that it's closed.
That's right.
Or open. Construction. There's ongoing road rebuilding, and pay attention to this, on rural routes 212 and TW. I don't even know what TWP stands for. Road 151 leading into Little Bow Resort.
I don't know what TWP means either. I was trying to figure that out.
Trans something, I don't know. But anyway, so be careful because you're going to run into construction when you're doing that. So I would recommend you just take the transporter and just avoid the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
At least
probably
for the
off-
next couple months.
Yeah, absolutely. Then after that, it's fine to, use that quaint ground transport that you invested so much money in. All right. Now it is time for, well, I usually say this is my favorite part of the show because I get to say goodbye to Charlie X, but this time we're going to have to say goodbye to Mirror Charlie, who's a nice-ish kind of guy, but still, it's time to say goodbye, Charlie.
Thanks for having me along. It was fun. But now my Phasian step-parents are calling, so I gotta go! 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 Go!
Get.
Yeah, he's getting gone.
That's right.
All right, and now it's time to head out on main mission part 2 with an appropriate sound effect. Yeah, that works. Sure, why not? You want to fill us in on this one, Craig?
All right. So we're talking about the podcast Star Trek Con, Episode 1, Paradise, written by Kirsten Beyer and David Mack, based on a story by Nicholas Meyer, directed by Fred Greenhala. Holla.
Holla. Okay.
Holla. The synopsis reads, settled by Captain James T. Kirk on SETI Alpha 5, Khan Noonien Singh and his followers begin building a new civilization, but this strange new world harbors a number of secrets.
Indeed. All right. So
Did it have those little flowers that shoot stuff in the face?
No, I don't believe we run into that. No. So this one is meant to be that bridge between the end of Space Seed and how we see Khan at the beginning of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And originally this was a multi-part story written by Nicholas Meyer with the intention of being produced for Paramount Plus.
Right.
And he still holds out some hope that that may happen even after this audiobook has come out, which
Really?
makes sense because,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, not everybody who watches television will listen to a podcast or an audiobook or read a book. So for some of these people, it will be a new thing. The thing that I wonder about, though, is all the sites that have access to this audio story, which is everybody, will be able to put in every single one of their stories spoilers if this ever becomes a miniseries. And that to me indicates that maybe they'd have to change some of this to not be exactly the same as this is, to throw that stuff off. But
Wouldn't be the first time they've done stuff like that. Look at the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The book was a little bit different from the TV show, and the TV show is different from the movie and the radio play, and so on and so forth.
So, but we'll take this at face value of what it is for these purposes. And there are, I believe, 9 episodes in total. And right here, this episode is a lot of setup on how things are, and lots of callbacks to where we would imagine the story beginning once the crew, Khan and his followers and MacGyvers have beamed down to SETI Alpha 5, and also bridging to what in the story is current time, which is 26 years difference in time between them setting foot on SETI Alpha 5 and the current day thing where they're actually trying to, we have this Dr. Rosalind Lear, who goes back to SETI Alpha 5 on board the Excelsior to try to find some more records of what happened on the planet. And she has reason to go back there to look specifically for records.
Right.
So this is how we get Tuvok and Captain Sulu involved in this story, because she does go there on the Excelsior. And as we know from that episode of Voyager, Tuvok was an ensign on the Excelsior while Captain Sulu was in command of the ship.
For a second, I was like, why are you bringing Voyager into this? I went, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that episode. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. Doesn't explain how he was that other thing in the other episode, but that's Deep Space Nine delves into all that, I think at some point. But so overall, Craig, would you say what you heard in the first episode, and we'll delve into some details, but do you find it a satisfying intro to start that bridging that gap between the two things?
I think so, because well, again, we're it's just the first episode. So listening to Khan kind of establishes himself as the center of everything, I think was really cool. Like Marlo was supposed to be in his tent, and she wasn't thrilled with that. She was like, I want to be around, but I want my own place. So I can do my own thing and research and documentation and whatnot. And so you got to hear a little bit of the discourse from the people that
Mhm.
were also with him, and he set them straight. And he wasn't like overbearing. He was like he asserted himself enough, but he wasn't like killing people or anything like that. So
Right, right.
I like this here. I like to hear how he was handling that kind of discourse. I never read the book, the where he went about the eugenics wars and all that.
Mhm.
So I was curious to see how his leadership style would be, and I started to establish that. So yes, I thought it was a good first episode.
One of the things I thought was interesting is when you have the episode Space Seed and the rest of Khan's people are waking up on board the sleeper ship.
Hmm.
He pats one person on the back, and you swear he's calling him by the same name as the young character in Star Trek II, like Yakim.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah.
So in this, they go out of the way, like the pronunciation is kind of a bit much, but so Joachim is, we'll call it the older gentleman, the one you see in Space Seed,
Hmm.
and Joachim is his son.
Okay.
All right. So they are two different spellings, two different pronunciations, although it's, in a quick go by, it sounds like exactly the same name. And it's confusing in the story when they start bouncing back and forth between the two, because it's the father and the son, and it's almost the same name. They have to be really careful to pronounce that name really well, so you
Right.
know what's going on there. Uh, they also then try to explain right up front, all right, we see a bunch of people in Star Trek II that are clearly much younger than Khan is,
Right.
but all the people in Space Seed seem to be around the same age as Khan is. So what's the deal there? Did he just age poorly and everyone else is much better? So we don't yet know what happens to the people his age, but apparently the younger people are children that he rescued from a research facility before they left Earth. So
Okay.
they were being used for experimentation. I believe the place was someplace in Montana, because everything in Star Trek happens in Montana, I guess. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it was the last act that he did before they left on the ship. Now they're also saying that in this, that the sleeper ship was his choice to do, that they weren't exiled on the sleeper ship, that he had that as his escape ship already planned before he found out about these children in the facility, and we went to rescue them.
Yeah. So there
You
was
know,
a discrepancy in history there.
right, that this was that that his plan was, okay, we clearly are not going to be able to establish ourselves here on Earth, so we will head out in the ship. And presumably that meant there was some detection systems on the ship that would detect a Class M planet
Hmm.
for them to live on. They just hadn't gotten there yet when the Enterprise comes across them. Yeah, and this person who's dissenting
Yes.
from everyone else, whose name is Hugo, is pointing out that, well, why should we have you as our leader? I mean, you promised if we followed you that we would be essentially the rulers of Earth, and that didn't work out for you. And then you wake us up on board the sleeper ship to take over the Enterprise, and that doesn't work out. And now we're supposed to give you a third shot at it.
And in the future, I know what's going to happen. So that didn't work out.
That's not going to work out either.
You're a failed leader.
You are batting, like zero here, pal.
Yeah.
And that's when Khan says, let's take a walk. And he doesn't like, let's take a walk, and it's a shame you should lose your hand there. No,
Yeah.
he says, look, you got a choice.
Bad things happen to weird people here.
Yeah, you can either follow me or you're banished and you can never return. That's your choice. And the guy instantly caves, and we think, okay, so that's the end of it. This is how Khan has, decided how things are going to work. And we see everyone else up to that point, following in line, right? That they see Khan as the ruler
Yeah.
of all of them. But then there's Ivan, who is essentially Khan's right-hand man. And
Mhm.
he goes and visits Hugo and tosses him off of a cliff.
That's right. A little foreshadowing. He goes, oh, there's some steep cliffs. I was like, I know what's
Yeah.
getting ready to happen.
And look, it's dark, and you never know what could happen up here.
Yeah, you could lose your footing. Mm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly Ivan was not sneaking up, because Ivan comes up to talk to Hugo carrying a boombox that is blaring out
I know.
music. So,
Hey, okay, so
hey,
in this,
it was the
in,
90s, man. It was the
I know.
90s.
wait, in the show, or I'm sorry, yeah, in this, in the episode, there's ads, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I hear an ad at the beginning, I hear one in the middle, and then I hear this music, and I'm thinking, oh, it's another ad. Oh, he's carrying a boombox. That was pretty funny. Ugh.
Yeah. So Khan is coming across in here as definitely a ruler with a vision for how to transform this planet. And he lays out some of that in a speech he gives about, I see fields here with planted crops. I see,
Yeah.
this space for this. And then he sees a Colosseum, which Hugo goes, "Well, you're high, man. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
But we do get to meet a lot of his followers. Is Ivan, who we've mentioned, there's Ursula and Mado, and we'll get to their story in a second. There's some of the young people are Erica and Paulo and Richter and Silvana. The interesting thing about Joachim is he is half augment, half human.
Yes. Yeah.
Normal human, I guess you would say.
Normal human. Yeah.
So his mother was a woman named, I believe it's Sylvia, and his father, Joachim, is an augment. So the other kids are calling him a half-breed and beating up on him. One in particular, Paulo, and Khan will have none of it, saying we are all one people together, and this is the sort of thing that would happen on Earth, and that's not who we are. That's not what we're trying to build. And it's interesting because he's trying to build paradise, and essentially by the end of this episode, it's paradise lost,
Yeah.
because you already have somebody being murdered because they
Yeah.
don't agree with Khan.
Yeah.
So the experiment has already failed before he has a chance to start on it.
But I like that they're leaning more on his charisma
Mm-hmm.
than his, wanting to kill somebody or fight somebody by hand, because he talks to the kids, and you start listening to him. He go, like you said, he made his little speech about we are one, no matter who is what, we are one. We have to remain that way. And he gives didn't he give the Joaquin
His sword.
a sword?
His
Yeah.
sword or his knife. I don't. He said his blade, and I think it was a sword.
Yeah. So he gave him that, and kind of not made an example of him, but made him to stand out a little bit around the other kids that were giving him a hard time. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyway, I really like that aspect.
Yeah.
I'm curious
Yeah.
to see how it
And
plays out.
it's subverting expectation by doing
Mhm.
that, right? It's like, because he has to have a journey, and if he's already where we see him existing now, or leaning too heavily into where we saw him in Space Seed, then that journey is really short.
Yeah. Right.
So you want to make that journey much more. Marla finds out that through speaking to Ursula, who is essentially the doctor of
Mhm.
the group, that the females had their eggs harvested, and so it's been very difficult to try to repopulate, if
Yeah.
you will, and they are trying to get that to happen, because they're asking all questions of Marla about, well, do we have this medicine and that medicine? And she explains, well, no, but if you know how it's formed, you can use the replicator to synthesize it, and they're excited about that. But then she finds out this information about what had happened to the augments and why they're
Mhm.
so attempting to make this happen. And they say, well, you were plan B if this didn't work out.
I went,
Clearly,
what? Huh? Excuse me? What?
that's why you're here. And Marla tries to like get a hold of somebody in the communicator to get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
And so this is you end up with this tension between Khan, who finds out that she has a communicator and essentially crushes it and
Mhm.
destroys it, and thinking that you were here because you believed in me, and now you're saying here you were here because you wanted to document all this stuff. And she's thinking, well, you brought me here not because you cared for me, but because I am your alternate plan about how to perpetuate your line.
Right.
So there's a split, which obviously over the course of the thing is going to have to get resolved at some point. But you're getting that set up as well in here.
See, I wonder if didn't he? I wonder if she dies and he changes. He kind of misleads everybody in Star Trek. The Wrath
No,
of Khan.
he I believe in Wrath of Khan, he doesn't he indicate that her death was caused by one of the city eels?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I wonder if I wonder how that'll play out throughout this.
I don't know. It'd be
And we
interesting to
find out. Yeah, we'll find out. But anyway, or maybe he had a hand in it, and he just didn't want to,
Mm.
call it out.
So the reason we're learning all this stuff is because Dr. Lear finds well over 100 recordings that appear to document their entire time on SETI Alpha.
Hmm.
And some of them, one of the recordings we hear is narrated by Khan, because we know Marla MacGyver's dies because Khan says that in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and we were just talking about that. So somebody else had to document after that, and it appears other people took up that mantle of doing that documentation. And she's now found all these recordings, and she's going to take months to do it, and they can't spend a lot of time there. So Tuvok says you have 5 days.
I like that. Excelsior can't leave. I got to sort all this stuff out.
We're
How
not
long will
gonna
that
stick with
take?
the planet
Months.
for months. Yeah.
Whoa. We didn't sign up for this.
Yeah. You're gonna have
Yeah,
to
5 days.
play Scotty here and have over exaggerated how much time you need by a factor of
Yeah.
months.
That's right.
All right, so that's where we leave things off. Essentially, we're starting out here. They have supplies from the Enterprise. They want to lean more on the planet for their stuff. So they found that they can get fish and so forth, and they do have seeds that they will begin planting. But already we have that black mark that somebody has already killed somebody, right off the bat, to start things off with.
Yep.
And that's going to lead to madness probably at some point. All right. So any other thoughts before we do our rating on Star Trek Khan Episode 1?
No,
Paradise.
I think we successfully beat it to death. All right.
All right. So we don't have any SETI eels yet. Let's rate it on what have we got here? We've got broken communicators, I guess. How about that?
I was going to say the same thing. Crushed communicator.
Yeah, crushed communicator. Well, that's more literal. Crushed communicators.
Yeah.
All right, so I will go first.
Sure.
I think this is a good, solid foundation. It logically feeds in off of where things started. I can't say it logically ends where it ends because we won't know that till the end.
Yeah.
But as something that picks up right from when they start and seeing the foundations of what Khan wants and what probably is going to end up happening, it is a good beginning. So I'm going to give this, I'll give it a solid, I'm going to give it a solid 8 3/4 broken communicators. So you could partially get a signal out with that, I think.
8 3/4.
8 3/4.
Right.
I don't want to quite go to 9, but I feel like 8.5 is a little, it's like an 8 3/4.
All right. I was going to give it an 8, but I did like it a lot. I mean, say 8, but that's a good score. It was fun. I liked the foundation, like I mentioned earlier, with him establishing himself as the leader and making sure everybody else knows that. Um, I think the voice acting was actually really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is a really good foundation wrapped in a uh, almost like an archaeological, find or a story where they're trying to unearth the tapes of Khan. They tell the story of Khan. And I think I like that. So yeah, 8.
Right. And it's based on, some of the premise at the beginning of it is that it's weird because Dr. Lear says, when we want to find out more information about what would drive someone to be this type of person, but then she also seems to be implying that, well, was Khan set up to fail because did
Mhm.
Kirk know that SETI Alpha 6 was going to explode?
Yeah, that's
And
true. Yeah, they were trying to frame him, not frame him, but bring up that question: was this intentional?
right. So that's going to be sort of. Oh, and one other thing we mentioned really quickly. She, uh, Dr. Lear received a bunch of these tapes anonymously,
Hmm.
and now she wants to go back to SETI Alpha and see if she can find more. Who sent these tapes?
Yeah,
It can't be anybody that was on SETI Alpha 5 because they're all dead from one reason or another, unless somebody gets off the planet before the Enterprise arrives,
hmm.
which only way I can think of is like how, unless somebody else went to SETI Alpha. I don't know.
It
It's
was it was John Harrison.
yes, exactly. Yeah, but he is Khan. I'm very confused.
That's the conundrum. Yeah,
Hmm. So I'm hoping they get back to that because they made a point of saying anonymous, she received this stuff.
that's
So
true. Yeah,
who sent it to her?
yeah.
All right, we will find out more as things progress. And we'll talk about the next 2 episodes on our next episode.
Hey, and by the way, next episode,
Mhm.
I'll probably have another issue or two to read, but I read the last Starship, the
Mhm.
first issue, and I like it a lot. I'm curious to see where they go with it, but I I'll have a more in depth review next time because we're a little over time tonight.
Okay. All right. So we will be doing that.
Yep.
Very good. And right now it's a time to refill the dilithium chamber and try to warp on out of here. So you can find me, Clinton, also at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4. And I'm currently in the middle of my dog days, which should have ended at the end of August, but since it's continuing right now, being rebranded as Dog Days of Pumpkin Spice Season, my
Yeah.
patrons on Patreon will get the next 3 or 4 episodes sometime this weekend, and then everyone else gets them sometime beginning next week.
There you
So
go.
we look forward to that. And who speaks for you guys? He says
Well,
inquisitively.
I don't see anybody else here, so so you can find Chuck and myself on the Technorama podcast. Just search for Technorama podcast, and you should be able to find it with no problem. We're on all the platforms, easy to find. So there you go.
Very good. All right. And so that said, it's time to hit the theme, boys. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Blue Sky at The Topic is Trek, visit our Facebook page, or better yet, call us at 816 Trekker. That's 816 873 5537. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek,
Don't put on the red shirt, whatever you do.
Is maroon okay? Always wondered that.
Yeah.
Does the red shirt theory really apply when you get into the series because the movie is because it's maroon. I mean, it's a kind of a red, but it's kind of a purple. It's got a little bit. I don't know. It might not-
I'm writing a spin-off Star Trek series called 40 Shades of Red.
Ah, oh my! All right. Well, thank you guys for watching here on the tubes,
Yeah.
and hopefully you'll join us next time, which hopefully will be in 2 weeks. Although Craig just said he's going to be on vacation for a couple of weeks, so we'll have to
That's
figure
right.
that part out.
Yep.
And but we will talk to you again. And again, thanks for watching.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Long and prosper.